Okay, picture this. Has it ever been the middle of summer and you're just living through these long hot days and all you could want in the entire world is for it to be fall, the middle of October, have crisp fall leaves and cool weather and rain, and be able to snuggle up under a blanket and have a warm cup of coffee and read your horror books and just dive into spooky season? But you can't because you still have over 2 months of summer left. And what are you to do about it? Well, enter Summerween. Summerween. That's right, I am that girl. I am feeling that way. So today we are gonna change that. Instead of just waiting around for it to be fall, we're gonna bring fall into summer and have a Summerween reading vlog. I did some research, I picked out some books, and a little twist for the video, we're gonna be reading them in the dark as much as possible. However, that probably won't be that much because I fall asleep stupid early because I literally can't stay awake at night. But as long as I am awake at night, we're gonna be reading in the dark and it's gonna be so fun. As I said, I did do some research to try to find books that will actually spook me and freak me out because horror books so rarely do. So let me show you what they are. The first book we have is one that I swore up and down that I would never read in my life. It is The Troop by Nick Cutter. This one gives Lord of the Flies. It gives Yellow Jackets, if you've seen that show. It is a Boy Scout troop who goes camping in the wilderness on this island in the middle of nowhere, and this person shows up with this random illness, and I have this feeling it is going to spread to everybody and make them go wild, if you will. And I have heard it is the most disgusting horror book many people have ever read, hence the reason I said I would never read it, but maybe that's what I need to feel icked and freaked out. So I'm hoping that's what this one does for me. Next we have one that I do not expect to freak me out, but I expect to have a heck of a time with. We have Horrorstör by Grady Hendrix. Grady Hendrix is my favorite horror author, and this is one of his books that I have not read, and it's essentially a book that takes place inside an IKEA, a haunted IKEA, which, like, hello, that's the most fun idea I've ever heard for a horror book. I guess the employees show up and things are moving and breaking and all the things, and apparently it's not that scary, and I don't expect it to be, but I do expect it to be the most fun book ever, so I'm looking forward to this one. And finally, we have The Haunting of Ashburn House by Darcy Coates. This is your typical haunted house ghost story. Sometimes these scare me, sometimes they don't. The main reason I picked it is because I did just read a Darcy Coates book and I loved it, and also it caused me to be absolutely scared out of my mind, paranoid for a couple weeks that I was gonna get literally killed. So I wanted to give Darcy Coates another go and see if she can continue to make me feel that way, because then maybe we have a new horror author in the running to be my favorite. So those are the 3 books that I picked. I'm so excited. I'm ready to feel spooky and have spooky season come to me right now in the middle of July. It's almost dark outside. It's the perfect time. Let's do this. Just want to point out that there was a Lord of the Flies quote right in the beginning, so like I'm off to the right start. And so far, it's pretty grotesque and a little creepy, so I'm vibing. Also, the dark is really creeping me out. I think it's really adding to it, so I'm gonna keep going. Good morning. Nighttime reading only worked for so long. We're a few days in, and I want to finish this today, so we're gonna do some morning reading. Okay, listen, I understand that I said I was gonna film this video in the dark and read in the dark, but that just doesn't work for me. I'm a girly who goes to sleep early. I don't film much at night, so we're doing what we can. I'm breaking up the spooky ambiance and filming in the day to tell you that I finished The Troop by Nick Cutter. First of all, can we talk about that last name? Like, do we really think his last name is Cutter? Because that just seems very fitting for a horror author. Like, I almost wonder if it's not real, but I feel like it probably is. Just a curiosity. Let's talk about my thoughts on this book. So I kind of talked about this book. It's about a Boy Scout troop who goes to this island, and this person shows up with what the book describes as a bioengineered nightmare. I'm not going to tell you what it is because I feel like that would be the biggest spoiler. Going into this blind is truly the way to go, but I will say this book, people said it was the most disgusting horror book they've read, and they were not lying. This book did not scare me, but it did sufficiently disgust me. It was absolutely vile. Oh my goodness, I cannot even tell you how bad it was. There was literally a chapter that made me feel like I was going to lose my lunch. Like I had to immediately set the book down and just take a break from it for the rest of the day because I was like not chill after reading it. I felt actually sick to my stomach. Like, the book itself was a bit slower than I was expecting. I feel like it was one of those books where I kept picking it up and making progress, but it didn't feel like I was making progress. Like, it felt like I should have been able to finish it a lot more quickly than I did. Still, it was a really good book. It was not horror in the way of like ghosts or, oh my gosh, is there somebody behind me? I feel haunted. But in the way of, it was just nasty. Nothing could have prepared me for what this book was going to entail. It is full of absolutely the most disgusting things you can imagine. It's full of body horror, awful animal abuse, awful abuse to literally anybody you could think of. There is a child in this book who has some serious issues. He needs therapy stat. And it was just disgusting and horrifying and vile and sad and just terrible, but it was also really entertaining and interesting, and like it was intense and like kind of fantastic. Like it kept me wanting to know more. I was rooting for the boys in this book. It follows this Boy Scout troop of 5, and it's kind of a character study. It almost felt like Breakfast Clubby in a way, in that each boy had like different character traits. Like there was the nerd and the jock and the villain, the really messed up kid, as I already talked about, and you kind of followed all of them and saw how like each type of person acts and thinks and how they, you know, interact and like how that makes up our society. And I found that to be really interesting. It was quite a crazy book. I wish that it had been a little more unput downable for me, but it was still a really good time. It was something I would say, just make sure if you read this, do not eat while you're picking up this book, or anytime near when you're picking up this book. That is all I can really tell you. Just do not eat, because you will regret that. But aside from that, it was a great time. I was not scared, but I was disgusted, as I said, and for that I'm gonna give it a 3.5 out of 5 stars. So I feel like we're off to a pretty good start. And now we move on to one that I know is just gonna be a silly, goofy time, but I'm so excited for it. We're doing Horrorstör. We're gonna go read about haunted IKEA. Let's get into it. I'm gonna go start reading. Why is reading in the dark like 10 times more fun than just reading normally? This makes it like so spooky, so Halloween, and I'm here for it. Okay, hi, I'm back again. Finished another book. We finished Horrorstör by Grady Hendrix, and boy do I have some thoughts. So this book ended up being exactly what I was anticipating. It was silly and wacky and not scary, but like enjoyable enough, I guess. This was certainly my least favorite Grady Hendrix book, and I've read all of his books except for one now, but it was still enough for me because it was literally about a haunted IKEA, or Orsk in this case, and I'm an IKEA fangirl through and through, so like it was enough for me to keep going. But I was really kind of lost on the horror for a while because like this never proved to even be a horror novel until over halfway through the book. Like literally I was so confused on how this was gonna be like a scary book because nothing happened in that first 100 and so many pages. It was never scary, even after the horror stuff started, but there was a good sense of like community and support between the characters, which I enjoyed reading about. Like I liked a lot of the characters in this book, and I at least appreciate that much of it. This book, each chapter focuses on a different piece of furniture that's like made up for this imaginary IKEA. And as it progresses, the furniture gets more and more morbid. They kind of become these like torture devices, and It had me really excited when I started because it made me think that like each chapter was going to focus on that piece of furniture, meaning that the kind of gore was going to get worse and worse as it went on. But then like some of the chapters would literally just mention the word of the furniture and then never even talk about it at all. And it kind of felt like it led me astray. Or if I want to be the dramatic person that I am, I felt really lied to. I felt lied to. Like, I just wanted to see some gore and craziness involving these pieces of furniture. I wanted this horror book to be horror. Like, I wanted it to scare me. I wanted to feel creeped out. Overall, it ended on a slight cliffhanger, and I honestly want to know what would happen next, but I don't think that will ever happen. And I feel like this might be better as a movie, but not one of those movies that's like a theatrical release, but like the kind that's on some sort of channel kind of like Hallmark, where like you watch it for like pure entertainment, but you know it's not going to be scary or even very good, but you just kind of watch it to laugh. So that's kind of how I felt about this book. Sorry, Grady Hendrix, I am kind of dogging on you, but I love you anyway, and I'm glad I read it nonetheless. Overall, I'd say this was like a 2 out of 5 stars. Like, I'm glad I read it just to say I read another Grady Hendrix book, but like, that's really all I can say. I'm so sorry. So far for this video, the scare factor is not really high, and that's what I was really hoping to get out of these books, but you know what? We have one more shot to see if I can get scared. I'm gonna attempt to read this one truly as much in the dark as I can. We have The Haunting of Ashburn House by Darcy Coates. As I said, the last Darcy Coates book I read freaked me out, creeped me out for literally 2 weeks, so I have high hopes. We're gonna see what happens. I have my fingers crossed. Let's get into it. Guys, it's time for me to be honest and speak my truth. This book isn't doing it for me. It's just not. I feel like I've been reading it for forever. I have been. And I still have 100 pages to go, and like, I think right now is supposed to be the scary part of the book, and I'm just like, not into it. I just feel completely unenthused, unafraid, excited on everything. Like, this book is just not, it's not giving what the other Darcy Coates I read did, and that's making me sad. But the goal is to finish it tonight. We're gonna see, but I just had to tell you how I'm feeling. I'm gonna go try to finish it now. Okay, hi everyone. The time has finally come where I finished the final book of this video. I finished The Haunting of Ashburn House by Darcy Coates, and this book unfortunately took me so much longer than I wanted it to take. Like, I feel like I've been I feel like I've been reading this book for an eternity, because I have been. And I know the point of this video was to read everything at night and like in the dark, but unfortunately the way my body and my brain works did not allow that to happen, because I am somebody who cannot stay awake past 7 p.m. or like 9 p.m. at the latest. Like, ask anyone who knows me, like, I literally cannot keep my eyes open once the sun goes down. But I did my best. I read at night when I could, and we've reached the end. And here are my thoughts on this book. As I mentioned, I loved the Darcy Coates book I read before, so I was really excited for this. I did choose like a haunted house ghost story, which I feel like tend to be kind of blah. They don't usually end up being my favorite thing, because I feel like they're all just kind of the same and not typically scary. And that's exactly what this ended up being. It just was very meh. Like, I felt like going into it immediately, I was kind of just not that intrigued. The story didn't really grab me. It didn't even begin to get even slightly creepy until about 2/3 of the way into the book, which for me, if I'm reading a 330 plus page book, I want it to at least be a little bit creepy before we're 2/3 of the way into the book. Like, you're lucky that I kept going at that point. I will say it did kind of redeem itself in the last 40-ish pages. I feel like it started to get pretty creepy, maybe because I was sitting here at night reading it in a room by myself. And also I read in like an isolated location a little bit earlier, so I feel like I started to really get like creeped out. But I also really do think it was just the circumstances of how I was reading. And maybe if I'd read the whole book like that, it would have been better. And maybe if I'd read the whole book in 1 or 2 sittings, it would have been better. But the way it worked out for me, it just was not my thing. That does not mean I don't like Darcy Coates. I will give her another shot, because I believe in giving every author at least 3 tries. But this one just didn't work too well for me. But I still feel like it was fun for the challenge. That's really all I got for that one. So without going into too much detail on that one, it was kind of just your typical ghost story. It kind of just left me feeling like it was okay, but I feel like maybe I'll stray away from the haunted house stories in the future because they always make me feel kind of let down. But I think I would rate that one like a 2.75 stars. So that's my review. So that was it for this video. As I told you guys, this was my Summerween video and it has kind of chugged along a little bit too long, and now we're into the middle of August. So I'm kind of posting it after Summerween has ended, but we're still gonna post it and we're still gonna have fun because I did the whole video and I read all the books for it and I filmed everything. So I hope you guys enjoyed watching. If I had to rank it, probably my enjoyment was in order of how I read the books. So I liked The Troop the best, then Horrorstör, then The Haunting of Ashurn House. However, in terms of how much fun I had, I would say Horrorstör came in first because that one was awesome. But if we're gonna get real serious, if we're gonna get down to the nitty-gritty, I honestly don't think any of these books were my favorite as far as horror goes, and that's kind of sad. But I feel like we'll have a better time when actual spooky season comes around and I do another horror reading vlog. So regardless, I had fun. I hope you guys had fun watching. Next time I'll try to pick books that maybe I enjoy a little bit more and are more my type of horror. But either way, happy Summerween, happy end of summer, happy almost spooky season. Starbucks fall drinks are coming out in less than 2 weeks, which has me freaking out. Anyway, that was it. If you guys enjoyed this, feel free to like, comment, or subscribe. All of my links are down below if you want to be friends. I love just connecting with everybody in this community. I don't really know what else to say. I feel like I always just repeat myself. So thank you for watching. I appreciate you. Hope to see you in the next one. Bye.